Hello. So this is going to be a little bit of a tutorial on how to do the advanced macro UI that a lot of people have been talking about lately. It's pretty basic, actually. It's surprisingly basic. So here's what it looks like. You've got this sort of maximize and minimize button, and then you've got a bunch of different tabs that you can use to display pretty much whatever you want, as long as it has icons. So if I wanted to change mounts, just do that. Or if I wanted to change what minion I have out, I could just switch them out. Pretty basic. And then you can minimize it and maximize it whenever you want. I find that this is probably the best way to have like a decent menu for controller players who might not be able to navigate menus quite as easily, so long as you have a mouse. So here is how I did it. So here are all my macros. Basically how this works is I've got this minimize and maximize button, these two right here. What I'm doing for all of these is you're copying a non-shared hotbar, so a random hotbar from any other job, in this case it's Weaver's 7th hotbar, onto a shared hotbar, which in this case is the 3rd hotbar. So right now I've got my 3rd, 4th, and 5th hotbars set up. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. If we display all of our hotbars, like 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, yeah, so see, this is pretty much where all of these icons actually go. So in this case, let's see what Weavers look like. Yeah, so as you can see, what's really happening here, let me pull that up a little bit, is that we're copying Weaver's 7th hotbar, which is this hotbar, into the shared hotbar, number 3, which is this hotbar over here. So whenever we press this button, it copies the contents of this hidden hotbar and replaces this one with those contents. It's kind of a sly little trick, but it does the job. We're basically doing the same thing for the DPS, the tank, healers, all of this stuff, really. So what you want to do for these, it's a little more complicated if you're doing sort of more options here. You need to have another shared hotbar, in this case hotbar 4. You need to turn the display of hotbar 4 on, ignore this second line for now, and you want to copy, whatever hotbar you need, whatever hotbar you have laid out, onto the shared 4th hotbar. So every time I'm clicking one of these, I'm basically just copying the contents of these hotbars onto shared 4. That's pretty much how all of this works. There's not really any other, really difficult code that you have to pull off. Really all it requires is that you just have a couple jobs unlocked to be able to, have a couple of empty hotbars for. One thing that you are going to want to do when it comes to minimizing is, as you can see here, the code for minimizing is hotbar display 4 off, hotbar display 5 off, and hotbar copy Weaver 6, which is this one, to the 3rd shared one. So whenever we click the minimize button, we, actually for example, if I have all 3 of my shared hotbars open, 3, 4, and 5 in this case, and I click on minimize, it should turn off the display of 4, 5, and put share 3, which is this, or put Weaver 6, which is this hotbar right here, into share 3. So that's what it looks like. And then you just turn displays on or off as the case is needed. So in this case, if I have minions open, let's say I have my primal menu open here, and I'm trying to summon Ifrit. There he is. Look at him, so cute. What I want to do, if I want to click on a different button, say this line right here, display 5 wasn't there, display 5 off wasn't there, what would happen is I'd click on the DPS button, and this one wouldn't go away. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that every time you do this, every time you have a new menu, you make sure to turn your other displays off, so that when you display a new menu, it just goes to a different one. So it's basically a sly little trick to be able to kind of cheat the game into just replacing all of your hotbars with these empty ones. A couple of important little notes that people have been asking about. The first and probably the most easy one to check out is how do you hide these extra hotbars that you don't want floating around on the screen all the time? Pretty basic. You just go into your character settings menu, go to hotbar settings, and then you just click off the hotbars that you don't want to normally see. Make sure you hit apply. The other thing that you can do in order to make it look a little bit better is you can hide unassigned slots, which is what I have set to default, because you probably don't want all this clutter on here. And you're not going to want to display hotbar numbers if that's not something that you already have off, because that way it looks a little bit slicker. It's a little bit easier to read, I would say, and it doesn't look so, like, fake. The last thing that I wanted to explain was how I got all these icons on here. Normally, when you have an icon, a macro icon, you've got this list of a couple different, preset macro icons that you can choose from. But these are all pretty bad, in my opinion. I don't like these. There are some that I do, but most of them I don't. What you can do is if there is any item, any skill, any emote, any mount, any minion that's in the game, as long as it has a name and an icon attached to it, you can use that as your macro icon. So in this case, under my minions tab, I have primals, beast tribe, animals, people, and miscellaneous. So what ends up happening here is I use the icons that I'm most familiar with, like Ifrit for the primals, in that particular macro. And it's pretty easy to set up. So basically all you want to do is you want to do /micon, and in quotes, whatever the name is, make sure you get the capitalization right. I think it's pretty picky. And then whatever the type of that icon is related to. So in this case, it's a minion. So that's where that goes. Mounts are mounts, emotes are emotes. I don't think there's one for skills. Yeah, I think skills are just normal. You don't have to mess around with those. Same with basic UI elements. Those don't need a justification for them. But if you take off the justification here, the game won't know what to do. So it'll just go back to this little M symbol. So you gotta make sure that you put that in there. Yeah, and that's the basic gist of it. If you have any questions, let me know. That is a very, very basic rundown of how this thing works. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Peace out.